Depressing things about this case, where a man was found not guilty after admitting pursuing and shooting an unarmed teenager. One is just how unsurprised people seem to be about the verdict.
They had no other option, given the strictures of the law in Florida.
If at any point in that altercation that Zimmerman felt that his life was in grave bodily harm or imminent danger, he had the right under Florida's law to pull that trigger.
Right, and that is what makes this so much worse. That we can get a verdict like this, not because the system has broken down, but because the system worked exactly as it's designed. How does 2013 Florida have a law that seems cut and pasted from 1881 Tombstone? Because, let's be clear here, according to current Florida law, you can get a gun, follow an unarmed minor, call the police, have them explicitly tell you to stop following them, then choose to ignore that, keep following the minor, get into a confrontation with them, and if at any point during that process you get scared, you can shoot the minor to death, and the state of Florida will say, well, look, you did what you could. You know what? I think it might honestly be time for the Sunshine State to officially change its motto. Yes. This is an awful story, and it is hard to make a case for it not being at least partially about race. Now, it definitely has some racial undertones, if not racial-only tones. Is there anything that we can learn from this terrible tragedy? Let's hear from George Zimmerman's defense attorney.
The prosecution raised this question about whether the outcome would be different if the races of the defendant and the victim were different.
Well, I think that things would have been different if George Zimmerman was black for this reason. He never would have been charged with a crime.
Yeah. I suppose the one thing that our justice system is notorious for is how lenient it is on black people. As long as we're doing hypotheticals, I wonder what it would feel like if George Zimmerman had, say, a family member, maybe a brother, who said something so breathtakingly unaware that it makes you think that there might genuinely be a genetic problem in the Zimmerman family pool.
He's a free man in the eyes of the court, but he's going to be looking around his shoulder for the rest of his life. There are factions, there are groups, there are people that would want to take the law into their own hands as they perceive it, or, you know, be vigilantes in some sense.
Yeah, you just heard right. That was George Zimmerman's brother expressing a fear of armed vigilantes. If Florida's laws are so flawed as to let a tragic incident like this go unpunished, what, I wonder, are they going to do about it?
Do you see any action on the stand your ground laws, on the gun legislation side of this, coming out of the outrage over the decision?
Not in Florida. As you call, the governor appointed a commission. They didn't recommend any changes. People in Florida like their guns. Okay,
Florida, just because you are shaped like some combination of a gun and a doesn't mean you have to act that way. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. I'm sorry, that's an emotional response. I shouldn't have said that. I take it back. The fact is, whether we agree with them or not, and we don't, the Sunshine State does have very strong self-defense laws, including its famous stand your ground provision. They may seem stupid. They do seem incredibly stupid. But at least they are applied rigorously across the board.
A Florida woman has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for firing a gun into the air. Marissa Alexander's defense was Florida's stand your ground law. But a judge ruled that the law didn't apply in the case of Alexander firing a gun into the air to supposedly scare off her abusive husband. The jury convicted Alexander after only 12 minutes.
Has it ever occurred to anyone when visiting Orlando that when Mickey Mouse is waving at you, what he's actually trying to say is, please, someone get me the out of here. These people are crazy. We'll be right back.